I cannot wait to hear Shannon Sharp's reaction on this one. Fox Bet has the over-under on Tampa Bay's wins next year at 9. I'm going 12-4 for the Bucs next year. So Shannon Sharp, has your Brady hate kicked in? What are you looking at next year for the Bucs? 8-8? What you got?
Skip, even before Fox Bet put out there what they thought the over-under would be, what did I tell you? I say, Skip, something looks like 10-6, maybe 11-5. I'm going to go over, but I'm going to say 10-6. I'll give you 10-6.
Really? I'm shocked.
Yeah, I'll give you 10-6. No, but Skip, even before Fox Bet put it out, because at first they had it at 9.5, and now I guess they're down to 9. But I just felt like, okay, they went 7-9 with Jameis. I mean, they could turn over here or there. They take care of the football. They could easily win an extra couple of games. But I'm gonna go 10-6. But they're not gonna win that division. The Saints not going anywhere. The Saints got better. Now they got Emmanuel Sanders to pair with Mike Thomas, so you can't double team him. Jared Cook. Yeah, I like this. I like this.
I'm sure you're going to love them. They're going to be your team next year. You're going to leap on another bandwagon out of the blue. All right.
I might.
Let's start with the fact. You might. Let's start with the fact the Bucs did re-sign Sue yesterday for $8 million, which I thought was kind of a steal of a deal for 1 year.
Yeah.
I'm going to remind everybody, the Bucs defense last year was #1 against the run. That'll work. They were 7th in sacks in the NFL because Shaq Barrett was #1 in sacks in the NFL. And Sue
that would help.
Drew the third. Yeah, that'll work. Sue drew the third most double teams in the NFL behind Aaron Donald and Kenny Clark of the Packers, which helps Shaq Barrett. And now you got Sue back as a force in the middle, which might free up a little more room for a Levante David, who was ranked by Pro Football Focus last year the 3rd best linebacker in the NFL. Wow, that will work. And I've told you, Todd Bowles, I love him as a coordinator. I didn't love Todd Bowles as a head coach of the Jets, obviously, but he is a very good, maybe bordering on great defensive coordinator. So what happened last year to the Bucs defense? It faced the toughest slate of opposing offenses, and it inherited the worst average starting field position in the whole NFL. Why was that? Because Jameis threw 30 interceptions and lost 5 fumbles. So that means 35 times there were sudden changes where, we got to get back on the field because Jameis turned it over again. He turned it over 12 more times than any other quarterback in the league. I think that's going to change with Tom Brady. So all of a sudden, the defense was forced to defend 189 what are called meaningful possessions, which was tied for most in the whole NFL. Shannon, you know and I know that unit had to be worn out and worn down mentally, if not physically, because they just had to keep going back and trying to clean up Jameis's messes. And this year, I think they're going to look a lot better than they did even last year when they were decent, especially over the last 6 games. So I think people are underestimating how good the Bucs defense will be, and we know how good the offense is going to be. Your thought?
Yeah, well, yeah, if the defense should be better for the simple fact, Skip, they should have less possessions on the football field. James did a disservice to them by putting them in harm's way. A lot of times, Skip, they were getting pick sixes or they were getting short fields. Even if you held them out of the end zone, they were kicking field goals. So just by that alone, and that's why I went to 10 wins, Skip, for the simple fact, Tom Brady on his worst will not turn the football over as much as Jameis did. Even on his worst season, he's never going to have probably half as many interceptions as what Jameis had last year. Jameis had 30, so I think Tom Brady's most interceptions probably in the season, maybe 15 or 16. I don't see that happening.
14,
so that 14, will equate to 14, okay. So even on his worst year, he only had half as many interceptions as Jameis had on his worst year. So with that being said, Skip, I'm going to give them 3 extra wins. I'm going to say they're 10-6.
Okay, so and I also
you took a lead. You went 12-4.
I did. I got 12-4. Jameis threw 7 pick sixes last year. Brady had 6 in his last 10 years. So the pick sixes are killers for the psyche of a football team. So That's a big plus. Yeah, big plus. Okay, so let's look at the overall odds from Fox Bet. The Bucs are tied with Carson Wentz's Eagles for the 6th best odds to win the Super Bowl at 18-1, which is pretty good. So that's why I still think they're being a little underestimated. But so the Eagles, by the way, are 18-1, and the Cowboys are 16-1. So 16-1 is better than 18-1. So wait, Fox Bet says my Cowboys are better than the Eagles going into next year. Just a quick point of order.
Yeah,
I don't know if you'd like to quickly try to defend that, but
I don't need to. Right? All I know is who the reigning division champs. Who is the reigning division champs of the NFC East? I just need to know that.
A year ago, it was Dallas, and twice in 4 years he won the NFC East. Yeah. Okay. Well, you asked and I answered. Okay. Back to the Buccaneers. I haven't heard anybody mention this when I talk about winning 12 games. Let's look at their slate of non-division games. We know who's in the division. We know we got to play, they got to play the Saints twice. And those are going to be like NFC games of the year, Tampa Bay versus New Orleans.
Right.
But let's look at, if we can, the home non-division games and the road non-division. Well, at home, they do have Green Bay. It's tough. And obviously then come Kansas City. It's really tough, but at least it's at Tampa. And then Minnesota's pretty tough. You don't know about the Chargers quarterback situation. The Rams might not be quite the Rams. But again, those are your home non-division. The roads, these aren't that bad to me. They got at Chicago, at Detroit, at Denver, at Las Vegas Raiders, and at New York Giants. Okay, Chicago, Detroit, Denver, Raiders, Giants. I don't know. I could see Brady pulling off winning, 4 of those games, maybe 5 of those games. That's why I say the schedule is not that tough for next year's Bucs. That's why I say that 12 wins is within the realm of reachable possibility because of the schedule. The home games, there are a 3 tough ones. I get that. But again, you're at home and you got Tom Brady. I don't know. I'm looking at 12, and I'm actually proud of you that you went all the way to 10. You first said 11, and now you've backed off a little bit to 10.
No. I love how you try. You always want to take the high end. I say I can see 10-6. I can see 11-5. But I like 10-6. 10. I like nice round numbers. I like 10 even, 6 even. Yeah, I like that.
Okay, so I made the case early in this show that I like Brady. I love his chances to win MVP next year. And if you tell me they're going to win 10 games and turn it around, 7-9 to 10-6, says Shannon Sharp, that's a potential MVP. I got 12. That's a real shot at MVP because.
Hold on, time out. Skip. You do realize Peyton Manning took an 8-8 football team, went 13-3, went from 25th in scoring to 2 in scoring, and didn't win the MVP.
Which way in Denver you're talking about, right?
In Denver, yes, his first year in Denver in 2012.
Yeah, okay.
You do realize that, right?
Wait a second. Okay, but Tebow had just taken a 1-4 Broncos team all the way to the division championship and won a playoff game against Ben Roethlisberger. So you had a little legacy left there, right? Well, he did. There was momentum. So you can't do that. You can't disqualify the great Tim Tebow. Am I right?
You talking about something? You talking about the man had a legacy. You stop. John Elway had a legacy.
Well,
Tim Tebow ain't have no legacy.
So did Tim Tebow. Well, Tim Tebow had won national championships at Florida. And then when he got his chance, when they were 1-4, kaboom. You saw what happened. They went crazy. They came from 1-4 to win the championship of the division.
Tim Tebow had a season. Elway, Manning had legacy. I need you to stop this foolishness, Skip. I need you to stop. But I noticed you ain't mentioned they sent Tim Tebow down before this virus hit, didn't it, Skip Bayless? So it doesn't look like he's going to make it to the majors. Does not look like that since you're talking about Tebow.
We talked about that.
No, we ain't going to talk about that.
And again, he made the All-Star team at AA. He was at AAA last year, and he got hurt. Nobody has ever done what he has starting the sport of baseball at age 30. Nobody's done that. He hadn't played since he was a junior in high school, and he went, boom,
Skip,
I'll make the All-Star team at AA.
In order for this story to be turned into a book or a movie, he has to make the majors. You don't get to start something at 30 and says, okay, I'm starting this at 30, and then all of a sudden it doesn't follow through and they make a movie about it. It doesn't happen. Rudy became a story once Rudy got into the game. There could be no Rudy if Rudy walks on and never touches the field. So in order for you to have this storybook, movie, or book ending, he needs to make it to the majors.
Okay, and I still believe he will. Maybe later in the year, if in fact there is baseball. It should have been opening day today, but maybe they'll have a season, and maybe at the end of the year, he'll be called up to the Mets, and maybe he'll get the big hit that wins the division for the New York Mets, just the way he won it for your Denver Broncos. Okay, enough of that. Up next, a very intriguing question. Could Cam Newton actually replace Tom Brady for Bill Belichick? Wow, back in a flash here on Undisputed.